regards with sexual health, check yourself before you come.
And
you
after
can,
you come too.
yeah, and after you come as well, but it is a bit costly, I think, in the Chinese hospitals to do that. Also bring your own condoms, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that like
experienced people, Mom? I don't know what we're talking about.
You don't want to look. All I'm saying is, you do not want to torture your member by putting on condoms that's too tight. And next thing you know, you gotta go to the hospital because you messed up your blood pressure.
Don't hurt yourself, boy.
Nah.
It's delicious.
One thing definitely that you gotta be mindful of before you come here is that you are an ambassador, not for just yourself, not for just your country, but for your race and everything else. You understand? You have to really know that you're not only just ripping you. People are going to meet you, and some of the Chinese people here, they are like very naive. They've never seen a person of color ever in their life.
Say that again, because I don't think people understand.
Oh, you want me to get Clifford Dollar on it? No. Yo, people, they have never seen a person of color before in their life. In real life.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are going to be people that will come up to you saying, wow, this is so interesting, and staring at you and things like that. Just remember, you're an ambassador for you, your country, your race. And if you keep that in mind, then you know how to carry yourself and present yourself, and you should be just fine.
You know, make sure you pack all your essentials. But the great thing is that in the last 5 years, the expat community have been amazing at basically having our online shops on WeChat. As Bobby said already, WeChat is an app you need to download. It's Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. You will die without it. It's all the social medias put together.
And it's the only one they use over here.
And it's the only one we use over here. And you can also pay your bills. You can get train tickets, get movie tickets. You can order taxis. You can get food. You can do shopping on it. So it's literally a whole amazing app that you need to download. And one of the things that a lot of the people in the expat community have done in the last 5 years, I would say, is we have opened shops and we literally sell online on WeChat. So hair, skin products, hair care products, even clothing, makeup, because of course you are going to run out. And unfortunately, these things are not in the shop. You are not going to find no MAC NW50 in the shop, but there are people that sell it, like me. Shameless plug. Me and my sister run a company called Sister International, and we do stock hair, skin products, and beauty care and trending fashion items. So get WeChat, find expats when you come here, go out, network with people, and literally shamelessly ask people, ask foreigners, because we've all been through what you're going to go through. So trust me, we'll be the first to send that WeChat content to say, girl, this is where you get your braids. Girl, this is where you get your shea butter. Boy, this is where you get your
condoms.
Your condoms.
Yeah, that's right.
And for sexual health for girls, I want to say, if you are on any type of contraception, make sure, if you're on the pill, make sure you get enough. There are some here, don't worry, there are pills here. I've never been on it. I don't know about the pills here, but for me, I got the implant and I get it every time I go back home when it expired. So I would say really think about that and sort that out if you want to stay on your contraceptions. If you're on contraception, just make sure that you figured out a year plan, I would say. But yeah, I think those are the important things for me.
Prior to coming to China, when you first apply for the visa, you have to get a physical done. And every single year that you're in China, student work, or anytime you want to enter the country, even on a tourist visa, anytime you want to renew your visa, you have to get a physical done. And if you have an STD of any type, they will treat it, and then they also will revoke your visa. So that means you will be blacklisted from the country. You won't be able to come back in. So make sure you're being smart. I know this is a PSA announcement. Whatever.
Be smart.
Be smart.
Be smart, be safe.
Be smart, be safe. Reduce, reuse,
wrap it up.
Okay, so I'll move on to the question that's quite related to sexual health. What are your experiences with dating in China?
Wow.
Okay.
This man always in
I'm saying, jeez.
You said children are watching, right? I'm just gonna say for me,
Turn the
not to get too ratchet but listen, this is a spoiler. If there are children watching, you need to go talk to your mommy and daddy right now and come back in about 2 minutes, okay? Once again, if there are children watching, you need to go back to your mom and daddy and don't come back until I'm done talking, okay? For me...
Pause.
Huh?
Let them walk away.
Give them a chance to walk. Okay, now you go. 3, 4, 5.
So for me, it's been quite plentiful, for lack of a better word, generous, friendly, word, because ho is life. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving on.
I would say,
but actually, you know what? Let me just say this real quick though. It can be frustrating because you do get fetishized. You get seen as just your private part and just that. You're not seen as a person. No, I actually am complaining about that because you're more than that. You're more than just your dick. I'm a whole person attached.
Inspiration.
I'm I know I jokingly started by saying "ho is life," but in all seriousness, it's I'm an entire person attached to this dick. I'm a person that's had experiences. I
have feelings.
I have feelings. I have hopes, and it's I have hopes. I have dreams. I have aspirations. But in all seriousness, that's sometimes all you're seen as, and you're not seen as nothing more than just a sexual plaything, which physically might feel nice, but it wears you out. You're like, yo, this is all I am.
For black women, our experience is very different.
Yeah.
In China, a lot of the non-black population of women do fetishize and love black men. They do. I think in general in the whole world, black men are seen as these amazing sexual creatures.
We are appropriate.
Okay. But for black women in China, I will be very honest with you. The struggle is real. Just to put it plainly, because what happens is while your foreign men and counterparts are busy having fun, ho is life, #ho is lifing. We are out here looking around, and there's just bare tumbleweed. Okay, so I would say make sure you bring a toy.
That's the struggle.
I'm joking. Dating for me, let's say within the expat community, dating is just like everywhere else. I genuinely don't think that is that different. The struggle is a little bit real for, I would say, women of color, because Chinese men they're not attracted to us. They're afraid to be very openly attracted to us,
approach you.
Because at the end of the day, they don't grow up around black women. They don't, that's not what they see as their idea of beauty. But they also be fetishizing us. They see the voluptuous bodies, and they.
But let's stop. Hold on, pause. Because I gotta speak on that, because you said the voluptuous body. I know everybody.
I was gonna do that. No. I was gonna go there because it's not true.
Yeah. So yes, how she was saying, being a black woman, it is a little bit harder. But there is the fetish. But I would find, I've had 2 experiences dating in China with a Chinese guy. Yes. And at the moment, he just wrote to me, and he's actually, it's weird. I think it depends on how much exposure they've had to other people.
Yeah. True.
And how well-rounded they are. Because he literally just wrote to me and was like, I like you. I was like, oh, we back in elementary school. Well, that was easy. Okay. I like you too. And that's nice, but
the dating is very juvenile.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Not in the expat community. The dating in the expat community is wild.
In the expat community,
ratchet, wild, dirty,
ratchet.
It's like the jungle out there. It's gross. Fun. I don't even do that. I'm not even going to talk about that. All my coworkers, everybody
knows.
That's all I'm gonna say is
that's something I could.
That's it.
If I was gonna, it's a very small pool if you're only dating in the expat community. I have, where it's once you go out with maybe 2
2, 3 people, you've basically gone out with everyone because I mean at that point someone done seen you go out with someone else and they done put you in a group where they talked about you take someone like myself, right? In the Black Life group, people recognize me from that. Yeah. So by extension, if I ever try to go out with someone, it's like almost a hard sell because they've seen me talk. Now I don't say anything wild or ridiculous because that's not my personality. But no, seriously. But the fact that that's the way that their first interaction with me is, if they don't like what I've said or if they don't agree with something I said, now it gets spread around like wildfire. I had someone.
I don't even try to date. Like love, and they're like, but then you're gonna leave as soon as I fall in love. Right. See, and people like you, it's dumb looking for love, but it's like
it's not because some of us don't want to just be hoe's life and have
more than just hoeing around.
All I'm saying is this: like, it's not. You know, you're not gonna be here long term because, like, most of us are gonna go back to, if not our home countries, then another country after this. Like, you can't get settled here.
What about me? I've been here for 6 years.
And I think that's the struggle. Like, even if they,
my struggle has been real.
But for me, like, too, also, like, even if you're dating a Chinese person seriously, like, the visa laws here, like, if you were to get married here to a local, for example, if you're married to a Chinese person as a spouse, like a foreign spouse, you can't work. You can't have a job.
Yeah. You're going to another country then.
Yeah, you guys don't move. Yeah. I actually I met a guy when I went to Shanghai.
You can work.
Is it my time now?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start going through and addressing some of the issues that
you're married to a...
So, you're only going to let it out for the people on YouTube. But let's just answer everything play by play. First of all, on the juvenile part, right? In China, as you mentioned already, people are slightly less open, less culturally aware. This is the country where students can meet each other at the age of 13 and give each other this thing called a biao bai, which is like a promise. Yeah. And they will promise to marry each other in later life.
Yeah. Is that like on condition, like, if I don't meet anyone, I'm going to marry you?
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
I did that people. Once, right?
Yeah. So a lot of the Chinese people still believe in this kind of thing. So it can be that kind of difficult to date or go around in that kind of area. At the same time, for those of you thinking of coming over to China to teach or to work in any capacity, a lot of Chinese people believe that you can only find your spouse at work. They don't go out and date quite a lot. In fact, most of the time they get married to somebody who they met at work.
Yeah.
With the first thing I've said and now this thing I've said, please remember that if you, for any reason, say to a girl at your workplace or a guy that you are interesting, I like you, shall we go on a date, that could be considered a biao bai, and they could automatically think that you're going to marry them. No. There are some people out there that know exactly what I'm talking about.
All you was looking for, you was only for one thing.
If you one of those Christian people that you'll be like, oh, I want a promise ring and stuff, this is the country for you, because these people still believe it. That's why I asked you earlier. That's what I asked you earlier. It's 2019. On whose scale are you measuring? Because these people have not got that. Yeah, absolutely. Or the bomb that's also been done. So everybody's been talking about marriage and not being able to work, etc., etc. I am in fact married to a very beautiful Chinese lady here in China.
Unbiased opinion.
Right? No. Fair play.
I'm not
Did you meet her at Hungry English?
Yeah.
How did you?
Close.
They made Hungry English together.
Right. They met at Thirsty.
In a case. Yeah, you damn straight. No, I'll drink to that. Okay. So people can get married here. They can settle down here. The way that I've done it in particular is I created my company, and my company writes my visa, so I don't have to depend on any other kind of...
Yeah, that's the thing. If you don't
in most other cases, when you come here to work, your visa is attached to that work. So if you stop working, your visa is cancelled. So
simple.
I spent 3 years doing a lot of work, got that done with my lovely spouse, and now I have a company so I can stay here. On meeting and marrying, though, it's totally possible. You can find the love of your life here, unbiased opinion. At the same time, you've got to find somebody who thinks the same as you. And in this respect, I was very lucky. Now you can move to mine.
Well,
Oh yeah.
When it comes to meeting people, I think that is probably one of the bigger issues. It's like, you know, if you meet somebody, I think one of my sorority sisters is she's dating this guy who's from like Africa, but she's from America. I forgot which country in Africa he's from, but just somewhere in the continent. But by extension, she's going back. Dude lives there, and they're both planning to go back to their respective homes, and that can be a bit of an issue. It's like if you meet somebody from like, you know, you're from Europe, and then they're from like maybe they're from like Taiwan, but you all meet, but you're both planning to go back home. That can be, you know, long distance relationships are already tough. Yeah. I've done one before. It's hard. Yeah. International long distance relationships are like, I don't know if that's even possible.
I've been there.
Mine
I don't know.
Mine just came out of that.
Yeah.
Long distance relationships is possible, but if the person's in China, you're in the UK, or whatever it is.
I think that would be fun. I'm not gonna lie. I did an international long distance relationship. Yeah. If you wind up watching this.
Shout out to the exes.
Nah, but for real, I think it depends on where you're coming from, where you're going, what's your mindset. But I did a long distance relationship, international, and it was fun. It was like, okay, I'm gonna go to another country. It's gonna be like a vacation. I gotta move there. It's gonna take care of me. We gonna be good. Like, and then what happened?
And then there's a Chinese guy texting her now. So we all know that. I've been in a couple. I've been in a domestic long distance relationship where my ex was in Shanghai and I was in Beijing. That wasn't too bad.
That's not bad.
Because we had the flexibility to travel.
You're gonna have to put it into comparison. So like Shanghai, Beijing is like Milton Keynes, London kind of thing. Maybe.
Yeah, it's 4 hours. It's like 2 hours by flight, right? Yeah. It's 2 hours by flight. So it's not that bad. And we also had, I think we were both students at that time, so we had more flexibility in terms of going to visit each other and stuff. But then I got into an international long distance relationship, and I had a job, contracted job, and although we get leave and everything, very hard to take time off, and his job does not allow him to leave because he was an athlete, and of course during season you ain't going nowhere, right? So you can imagine going like months and months and months and months on it, 6 months on end without, you know, that. So I think I think it's possible, but you have to have a serious conversation with your partners before you leave home and really sit down and think, are you going to come to China with a long distance relationship? Are you going to open it up a little bit and have some rules? I think you just have to be very realistic about it. Have that conversation before you leave home. That's for sure. Don't come here thinking that everything's going to be okay because there are things here, they're looking nice. What about you? Let's flip it back to
the host.
I don't know if your viewers know about your dating escapades. I said escapades because I wanted to be shady. It just makes sense sound so
no, this is the part where you have to have that meme like mission accomplished.
Like, well, we're out of time, folks.
Yeah, that is it actually. Shut up. No, I've mentioned on my blog before about dating in China and the 3 categories of guys. So you've got like the guys that are culturally knowledgeable about the West, but they haven't really like experienced it. Yeah. That's number 2, and number 3 is that the westernized and born in America, Britain, at the BBC,
like the overseas Chinese.
Overseas China. That's your category 3, and category 1 is like they have no knowledge whatsoever of Western world. So I've already covered that one on my dating in China vlog, and also my own experience of dating in China has been covered on this vlog. But I will say,
the question,
no,
that sounds good.
So are you taking or are you taking?
No, right. You spill all our tea.
I'm being single, like, because I've basically said when I go home, that's when I will start dating, because I'm leaving soon anyway. I'm one of those people, like, I'm not going to get into a relationship.
She said she's leaving. She might stay another year.
No, child.
It's a wrap.
It's a done deal.
But yeah, I'd say like dating in China is difficult, especially with the expat community. Everybody knows everyone. There was a situation in one of the female groups that someone mentioned a guy saying, "Oh, keep away from this guy. He's quite, abusive." And then someone was like, "I know this guy that hit him. I know this." At least 10 women came forward and said the same.
So then that's also a good thing in a way.
Yeah, but then they created their own group.
Oh, to bash him, or they need to stop.
Oh no, that's saying shit.
So that's a bit more extra, but just to bash him, but also talk about their experiences of what happened, because apparently he was quite.
So they had a support group.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So there are different groups with different things as well. In China, you can create your own group and talk about loads of weird stuff. But just to keep in mind, be careful, because some things that you talk about on WeChat are monitored.
Most of them are.
Most of them. So you can also get banned on WeChat.
And arrested.
and detained, and then deported. So yeah, you got to be careful what you say on WeChat.
Avoid the 3 T's.
What's 3 T's?
Taiwan, Tibet, Tiananmen. Don't talk about those 3.
That's great.
And you just talk about.
That's interesting. I never even thought to bring any of those.
He said,
and not only that, also.
I said what I said.
Your plan in China and your China journey, and get yourself deported and sent back home, because that's something you do not want on your record. Number one, please make sure that, I don't know if you can set on calendars the expiry date of your visa. Depending on your work situation, a couple of months before your visa goes off, set an alarm and have a plan of what you're going to do. I would say don't discuss any politics, especially on your phone. Do not discuss, as he said, the 3 T's.
Don't discuss Chinese history.
Do not discuss too much about Chinese history, and just stay respectful try and stay neutral. Of course, like, you can have a little chit chat with your friends. But I'm talking like texting, email, trusted friends, texting, emails. Be careful what you send and what you talk about, because just like in the West, there are those little words that bring out these little, red alerts. Like in the West, if you're talking about bombs or certain chemicals and all that stuff, it's the same in China. They have this too. So I would say be very careful about what you talk. But other than that, you can have fun.
So do your homework on that.
Do your homework on that.
And I would really,
ask Lavi, she gonna tell.
I would very much recommend you avoid talking about like any sort of Chinese history, like in general. Don't talk about the thing with Japan. Don't talk about like Tiananmen Square. Don't talk about
Winnie the Pooh.
Don't bring up Winnie the Pooh. Why? I know John Oliver made a very funny segment about Winnie the Pooh and how, and all that stuff, but don't actually bring up Winnie the Pooh.
Or the South China
everybody else is like, why Winnie the Pooh? Do your homework.
Do your homework. Do your homework. Just
don't bring up the South China Sea.
In a negative light.
Right.
Be pro.
Don't talk about
Be pro China.
Just be neutral.
Guys, so I think we're going to wrap it up there, unless anyone has any more things they want to throw into the.
I'll throw one more in.
Okay.
Of course you will.
Because I am a bit of a ham. In all seriousness, there is a lot of opportunity here, like for entrepreneurship. For you can save and make a substantial amount of money compared to back home for like less amount of working hours. So as negative as I sometimes can be, like I really do like my life here.
We should do positive.
I really do like my life here. I've met some absolutely amazing people. I've taught some amazing students who like really restore my faith in humanity a lot of times. Like I've had times where I was lost and like strangers come up to me and like they're trying to translate from Chinese to English on their phone to help me, So like there's some amazing people here. Like when you travel around the country and you see the landscapes and the trains, the bullet trains are amazing. They're quick. They always leave on time. They're never late. They go like 200 miles an hour. Like you barely feel them.
So don't come here saying you're late because of the train, because that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, that's never works. The subways go everywhere. Like you can travel on subways for like 15 cents Like, well, that's the equivalent of what it is. So like, it's not all bad. You know, I've met some amazing people here. I've had some good friends here. I've been here for almost 5 years. So like, there's a reason why.
I was just about to say, for us that are like still here, there's just like everywhere else that you move in the world, there are gonna be ups and downs.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we do kind of get, as you said, like kind of get bummed out, or you know,
bad China.
Yeah, we go through our kind of like depressive times, but just like everything else, I personally think that I have been able to develop professionally faster than I would back home. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. So my degrees and my masters have definitely been put to good use. I would say, I would agree with you. Money-wise, job, amazing money. And you get to have a fucking leisurely life. You get to go out, you get to party, you get to eat out, you get to travel
you don't even
for
pay
cheap.
For the party part.
Yeah, you don't even pay for the party part.
And you're so close to the rest of Asia, you can travel throughout all.
You can travel everywhere. So all the Thailands that you wanted to go to, the Philippines, is relatively closer and cheaper. So I would say leisurely life as well. You have so much time and money and resources to be able to do it. And it's a beautiful culture. It's a genuinely beautiful culture. Beautiful cities, and the people are amazing, and the food is bomb. So, come, China's the place to be right now.
In my short amount of time, I could say that the positive is that, you know, while I do sometimes say that Chinese people can be a little ineffectual when it comes to helping you, most times though they will try.
Yeah,
they'll at least give it a good old shot, and if they're wrong, they do apologize. So there's an earnestness to it that I feel like in the West we kind of don't like actively attempt to help people when they're in need of assistance. And I think that that's the best thing I've gained from like the Chinese people here. To my job, all the women will just give out snacks. Like they have a snack, they'll just pass those.
The older women, is true. They'll give you like oranges and stuff.
Yeah, just casually. They'll just give you like snacks all the time. So
too on Teachers Day.
Yeah, and then the income, like your income is if you're an expat, your income is like way higher. So you do get.
Let's get specific here. Disposable income.
Your disposable income is a lot higher than it would be probably in a Western place. I feel like I've gained in just the 7 months a lot more time to work on myself and like to grow, because I don't have to work as hard or tirelessly as I would in the West to just get the same amount of stuff.
Right. I have 2 businesses, sister, as I mentioned before, and I also co-founded the Hot Pot Movement, which is a events organizing team. We just had a bomb party yesterday.
And if you don't know what hot pot is,
if you don't know what hot pot is, you'll find out. Yeah,
it's actually really nice.
But unfortunately, there's no actual hot pot at our parties. But anyway, it's just a name, guys.
False advertising. I know,
right? But I have two of these ventures. Literally, I have 2 of these ventures, and I work Monday to Friday. But the way, and I work for an environmental organization. But I think the way that, you travel is easier, everything else is accessible, like you don't work tirelessly, as you said, so I have more energy to put into other things that I enjoy doing. And I think, again, like the support system, you'll be surprised, the support system from foreigners and Chinese people in China, I would have to say that specifically the expat community, the support system is amazing.
Yes.
Like, we literally ride or die for each other. So trust me, you will feel at home here. That's for sure.
Positive movie in China.
Other than your man.
Ooh.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, don't bring up your names.
I'm not going to bring him out though.
Look, she got smiling too. She's like,
that's gotta be, and that is a little bit of a positive. I would say, because I'm very different with the reason why I'm out here. So most of y'all like work with school students. We have a pretty reasonable schedule. So my schedule, unfortunately, I'm on a whole complete different calendar. I'm on an Olympic calendar. It's not even a Chinese calendar. So I don't even get like Chinese holidays off. So I'm working 6 days a week, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. So it's a little much, but I do like it. I guess I would have to say it is definitely the support when I do get the opportunity to go out, the support that I get from the expat community. And feeling safe for sure.
Oh
I always say this.
Safety. How do people
You can walk around at 2
People
o'clock
always
in the
say,
morning and not worry about
so
getting
why
robbed.
do you like Beijing so much? And I don't.
Compared to, let's say,
I'm not going to put my city out there like that, but I am going to.
I put mine out there.
It reminds me of Brooklyn, but safe. And I love Brooklyn. Don't get me wrong. I'm from Brooklyn, but
from Orlando.
I grew up in Orlando. Originally from Brooklyn, went back there. But honestly, like
speaking, somebody's already done the check.
I know. But honestly, like there are just so many different things to do out here in Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for everybody.
Yes.
You can never say I'm bored.
No.
If you say you're bored, it's because you're just flat out lazy.
We're normally trying to turn off. I feel like stop inviting me to events.
Yes. Like there's always so much stuff to do. Go to events. Learn new things, go try new food, just step outside your door. There's usually a park across the street somewhere. There's always so much to do. So I love that. And I'm like, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like a busy bee when I get the opportunity to be. So I love that. I think that's definitely my positive. It's safe and there's always something to do.
Yeah, safe compared to most places
very
around
safe.
the world that we're all from.
Very safe.
I'm putting my city out there. I'm from Baltimore, and
I walk, crawl.
you know, but either way, like I can walk home and like I don't get nervous here if I hear somebody walking behind me. Whereas back home, you're like, who's that? What they about to do? What's happening? What's going on? Or like I walk with my keys in my hand, like so I can get in the door real quick back home. But here, I'm damn near strolling down the street at night. You know, so that's good.
I would say something about that. I wouldn't say it's like 100% safe.
True, you still should be vigilant.
Yeah,
but I definitely
especially when you're
safe than back home.
A female walking the street, it's kind of especially after a night out. It's you have to be careful because there are those guys that will try and
just don't be an idiot. Just don't be foolish when you go out.
But when you're drunk, it's hard. But you need to know your limits because as well with the alcohol here, you will have the potential of drinking lots and then realizing,
gotta go home.
And sometimes you will get, the fake alcohol as well is here as well, so you won't realize that
and
until
the
morning.
Date rape drugs too.
And date rape drugs as well. So just be wary of what is around you, your surroundings, who you hang around with as well, and just be cautious. Do not do any drugs here as well because you will be
deported,
detained for about a month, and then deported.
Yeah, detained for a month and then
deported. If you come from a country of strength, because if you do not, you could be stuck in a prison for a very long time.
Again, do your homework.
So please do your homework.
Even if you come from a country with strength, because a lot of times the embassy will say that they can't get involved.
Your fault, especially if it's your, it's your fault.
If it's some type of illegal or illicit activity, the embassy will not get involved.
And this is the thing, a lot of, especially I would say Westerners, we have to really hold ourselves accountable for our behavior.
Absolutely.
Stop thinking that you are entitled, you are not entitled. This is China and this is their rules. Just like and this is their country and they have their rules. Respect those rules.
Yes.
Because once you break those, it's done. Nobody can help you. So just as Hungry English, and that's what I'm going to call you from now on. As Hungry English said, you are an ambassador, and you could see this in a good and a bad way, but you are unfortunately, an ambassador for your people, your race, your community when you come over here. So everything you do, everything you say, take it into consideration, because as soon as you break the law, not only would it be almost impossible for you to come back to China, but other countries are looking to China right now. So once you have that red mark from China, who the hell else would want you? So be careful with that, I would say.
It's not a smart decision to have a country deport you.
No.
That no matter what country it is, you never want to have that on your visa, on your passport that says, "Oh, you were deported out of any country." That's no one's going to look positively on that, because why were you deported? Like that's
a very big issue.
It's a big question of like, well, why did you get deported? Because all these other people come from that country, go in, visit, go see stuff. They're fine. Why did you get deported? What did you do?
So you got to explain that. Like I got deported because I got high and they caught me. Like,
or you missed your visa. Then if you're one of those people that's watching this video at home and you're comfortable and you like your job and you've been working there for 3-4 years and you don't really want to change life, the pace of life is fine for you, and you know you want to settle down and you're already very safe, don't come to China. But if you're in a country that's facing some sort of political upheaval where things are not looking right, you're unsure about the economy,
Trump.
I was trying to avoid that. You're unsure about your economy. You don't know what options to do. You've got time on your hands, but you want to try something new and also learn a lot about yourself in the process. Then I would suggest coming to China, because you'll find a lot of like-minded people who are brave, fearless, ready to take on a new challenge, and like having fun.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Alright, so we're going to close there. Thank you for joining us on our little adventure, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. Remember to like, leave a thumbs up,
hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe.
That's some scribble.
And maybe one last toast or drink to Lavi, which will be her last dinner in China.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Lavi. Yeah.
China's the bomb.
Okay, right, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good day.
Night or day or afternoon or whatever you're doing.
Whatever you decide to
Afternoon delight.
Praise Jesus.
Praise Jesus. You said